Zakk Wylde Les Pauls are amazing guitars but notorious for being faked. So how are we supposed to know if we've got a legitimate one? Well, I had this problem. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel, dudes. I hope you're doing incredibly well. Recently, I was very close to selling this guitar. You know how it is. I was going to chip it in against something else. Possibly something a little bit more versatile, a little bit more refined. Not quite as loud. But when I took it to the guitar store that was going to buy it, I was met with the words that no one who owns this guitar wants to hear. I think it's fake, that, mate. Rewind to when I bought this guitar from a private seller on eBay, and I'd been super careful to have my research done beforehand. For years, I'd been hearing the rumours that these are commonly counterfeited guitars, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to buy a dud. So, I decided to brave the forums, brave Reddit, watch all the videos, and really educate myself on what a fake Zakk Wylde Les Paul custom looks like. Well, as you can see, I own it, so I must have been fairly confident in my research and that this one's legit. But I will say, I'm not perfect, I've been wrong before, and I'll tell you what, it's so hard getting a straight answer online. There's loads of good information, but for every bit of good information, there's like 10 people clicking away in their armchairs declaring everything a fake. Anyway, we're back at the store, I'm trying to sell it, and I'm talking to the guy who's looking at it. I'm keen to learn about this sort of stuff, and denial that it is a fake when you don't know for sure would be silly. So I asked him to show me what it was that clued him into this, that it might be a fake. What are the warning signs that you should look for? What is it that really gives it away? The only thing that he could point out really was that the headstock logo didn't look quite right to him. So fair play to him. By his own admission, he did rightly explain that Epiphone have changed their logo so many times over the years, it's really hard to pinpoint the right logo for the period of the guitar. This led to him taking the guitar into the back for like half an hour while I hung about, until I heard a voice from the back declare,
"Yeah, it's definitely a fake, that."
The next thing, the dude who was helping me comes back, and he explains that they can't take the guitar because they think it might be a fake, but they can take some photos and get it verified by Gibson. Now, it is a crime to knowingly sell counterfeit instruments, so I can understand the apprehension, but this old exchange does highlight something. If a guitar store who deals with second-hand instruments day in, day out can't identify a legitimate or a fake instrument, how are people like you or me meant to do it? I decided to fetch it home with me, double check my research and get it verified by Gibson myself. Then, fake or not, I could make a video about it showing a real or a fake one and what to look out for. So in just a second, I'm going to start getting into the details of what you should be looking for. But first, I'm sure you want to know whether it is real or a fake. I'm going to put up on the screen the email from Gibson with their conclusion on whether this is real or not. Now, they obviously can't say it's 100% real because it's been ages since it was made. They've only seen photos, although they were really detailed. If I ever decide to sell this guitar in future and it turns out that it is actually a fake, then Gibson aren't going to look very good if they gave me a 100% guarantee that it was. So basically, with this type of contact, that's about as definitive as you're going to get. They don't keep super detailed records, and this guitar was made about 17 years ago, so I am happy with that. Also, I will say that it feels very good to be proven right after doing all that research. So what are the things you should be looking for that distinguish a real from a counterfeit instrument? Let's take a closer look at my guitar and find out.
What's up, dudes? Editor Jack here. Just jumping in to quickly say, I'm obviously not an expert. This is stuff that I've spent time learning and looking for, but it might not be an exhaustive list. There might be things that other people know that I don't. So always double check what you're looking at. I don't want you to buy a fake, so definitely get a second opinion if you're not sure. Anyway, let's have a look.
We'll start with the thing that's going to be most obvious at first glance. Is it the right shape? Fake Les Pauls often have this like weird characteristic of like just feeling off when you look at them. Sometimes it's blatantly obvious what the problem is, other times it's just not quite right, but it'll make you feel a bit weird. What I will say is when you put them next to a genuine guitar, it's blatantly obvious what the problem is. When the silhouettes of the two guitars don't match up quite right, then you know you're looking at something a bit dodgy. Also, if you're looking at the guitar in the flesh, you want to check body thickness. Zakk Wylde Les Paul Customs are what's considered full thickness, which is 2 inches. Significantly more or less than that is not right. The next thing I'd be looking at is the binding. Zakk Wylde Les Paul Customs, like all Les Paul Customs, have got the fancy multiply binding. They use 7-ply on the front and they use 5-ply on the back. Also, the headstock is fully bound and the sides of the neck will use single ply. You'll find various dumb looking binding on the fakes. So sometimes you'll get single ply all over, sometimes they'll miss the back completely, other times it'll be the headstock that they miss. Also, there's one thing you should be looking out for on the headstocks that's a little bit of an overlooked tip, I think. On legitimate guitars, The binding on the headstock is about half the thickness when you look at it from the side. It's been known for counterfeits to use full thickness binding on the headstock, and it looks super dumb. You'll know straight away if you see that. The next thing we're going to look at is the control knobs. Spacings on counterfeits vary wildly. It's not something that they take a lot of care in generally. Lucky for us, that's a way that we can check and make sure that we're looking at something legit. If you were to draw a line through each set of controls, they should be roughly parallel with the neck. They want to be more or less straight up. There's like a slight angle, but nothing too major. It's when the angle's like shooting off this way and everything looks a bit wonky, that's when you know that something's not quite right. Next, the tuners are a big deal. These guitars always have Grovers, but the problem with that is that Grovers are faked as well, so it gets a little bit messy. The main things I've learned that you should be looking for in the tuners are the central domes. On a legit instrument, these should be shiny and polished. Also, a good thing to check is the washers on the front of the headstock, because the fakes will often have like oversized discs that might like overlap the binding, makes all the spacing look pretty dodgy. It's just not quite right, really something that you should be questioning. Obviously, 17-year-old guitar, sometimes tuners get replaced and that sort of thing. You want to be asking these questions. Also the logos, and this is where it gets really difficult to try and work out what's going on. You'll often be able to tell when a logo is really bad, but if it's close to being right, it can sometimes be a little bit more difficult, and I guess that's why the guy at the store thought this one might be fake. Like I mentioned, Epiphone changed the logo like 300 billion times, so it's not that easy. There is a potato quality picture on the internet that shows you all the different logos that Epiphone have gone through. If I can find it, I'll put it up now. But it is difficult to distinguish what you're looking at. Finally, there's one last thing to look at, which can be a bit of a deep dive in itself, is the serial number. The serial numbers are screen printed, not embossed like on Gibsons. So the fakes will often not put a lot of care into getting the screen print right. They'll just slap it on. Doesn't matter where it goes, doesn't matter whether font sizes match up or anything like that. That's a dead giveaway. But in the event that they have taken a little bit of care, it can get a little bit more complicated. The Zakk and the Epiphone Custom Shop screen prints should be central. Obviously, if you're just getting a standard bullseye, they don't have this limited edition thing. The main thing is the serial number. Look for the first two capital letters being the exact same size font as the numbers. If the font is slightly bigger on the capitals than it is the numbers, bit dodgy. So those are the things you should be looking for to identify a real Zakk Wylde Les Paul custom. I hope you found this interesting. I definitely found the whole process of researching and trying to find out what was what interesting, but also tedious, man. Like, if I can save you doing that and you can be sure that you're looking at something legit when you come to buy one, then that's all I could ask for. I'll be happy with that. Honestly, these guitars are sick. The idea that a lot of them are fake shouldn't put you off looking for one. There are more legitimate ones than there are fake ones, as far as I can tell. You'll see loads of forum threads of people apparently spotting fakes, apparently messaging people on eBay to say that they're trying to sell a fake. It's like some neighbourhood watch for like fake Epiphone Les Pauls. Honestly, you're probably unlucky if you did buy a fake one. In a roundabout way, I'm actually thankful for the guitar store skepticism when they were looking at this. Without their uncertainty, I'd have ended up selling this guitar, and since then I've been playing it tons and remembered exactly why I love it so much in the first place. There's a big story that goes with this guitar. Maybe I'll share it one day, maybe I won't. But yeah, if I had sold it, I would have probably regretted it forever. So yeah, it's staying with me. Anyway, thanks again, dudes. I appreciate you massively. If you do want to support the channel, the best thing you can do is just like this video to let YouTube know it were decent. Also, if you don't want to miss the next one, then subscribing is the best way to do that. I post new backing tracks and videos every single week, so I'm sure there's something here for you, and I would love for you to stick around. Anyway, until next time, take care, mate. Stay safe. I'll see you later.